Hello YouTube, I'm Elwirfy and today we're going to be playing some more Starcraft 2. Today I have brought to you a very exciting Terran versus Protoss game. Of course I will be playing the Terran pieces because we are a Terran Starcraft 2 channel. In terms of when I do play Starcraft 2, that is of course, I'm Terran. And we'll be going against a Protoss player who is going by the name of Neurogenesis, so super duper cool name there. As always, we'll have the production tab open. I will be playing as the white Terran in this game because, of course, Elwirfy, we got that white logo with the dog, so very exciting there. Actually, it's a wolf. It's a wolf, not a dog. Sorry, misspoke. And the red Protoss in this particular game. And we're going to be looking at it from my perspective. We're going to follow my camera, check out this cool build that I'm doing here today. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Go ahead and play it on regular faster speed. Alright, so he's got the high. So that I said hi back, you know. I didn't say the good luck, have fun, because I was thinking, well, you know, this guy's clearly maybe a bit newer or something. So I'm gonna kind of surprise you with the way I go about doing this particular build. So obviously we have a supply depot on 13 as well as a gas on 14. Very important. Exciting. I'm going to talk about the build order, kind of narrate the build order. We're not really going to necessarily be looking at the Protoss that much in the first part, of course, but as you know, we'll switch over to the Protoss side in the second half of this. So anyway, got the supply depot built up, and we almost have enough minerals to get that barracks. And the barracks is something we want to get as soon as possible here. And as you can see, I'm going ahead and loading up my SCVs to get the gas production as much as possible. Because again, we went gas first for a reason. We may as well make up for that time we have for having that extra gas being produced. Of course, the barracks getting about halfway done here. Training up a good couple of SCVs, trying to get our economy up and running, so I can kind of ignore it for a little bit. Again, this is more of just now a waiting period. Nothing too crazy going on. All good. I guess I'll take this brief moment to say thank you all for still watching these StarCraft videos. I really love them. StarCraft is one of my personal favorite games of all time. I've grown up with it ever since Brood War was a thing. I'll admit, not the original. We've just done Brood War. Anyway, going ahead and making the factory as soon as the barracks is done. Going to be going ahead and making a marine as well. The first 100 gas should be spent on that factory, and then as soon as physically possible after the marine and the factory have been started, I get the orbital command in order to start putting down those mules so we can boost our income a bit more. And as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and lay down another supply depot, avoiding supply blockage. Usually you want to do it around 19 supply. It's about when you want to put that supply depot on after the orbital command. Then I go ahead and move on to get my second refinery. Again, making
You've built a fancier command center.
Hold on one second. One brief second. Let me see here. Sorry about that, everyone. I was trying to see if I could turn off the announcers. I don't think I can, so still using the Total Biscuit one. Totally fine with me. I thought it was a bit loud, so I wanted to try and see if I could turn it off. Don't think there's a way to do that. Oh well. Anyway, so as you can see, we're building our reactor right now on the barracks, and we're going to end up swapping it over with the factory. Of course, now we build the armory as quick as possible, so that way we start getting those hell bats.
Add-on complete.
Because hell bats are actually the thing that we do want to have. So we're going to go ahead and put the
SCV ready.
We're going to go ahead and put the factory dropped down with the reactor. And we're going to start making a command center with our next 400 minerals. Making 2 Hellions right off the bat. They can transform into Hellbats, so no loss there. May as well get those units out early, get some defense. And that's about where we're at, kind of stabilizing here. Not using the barracks yet, because again, we are kind of saving up to get, as you can see, a second factory there. And again, I'm saving my money also so I can start cranking out units as much as physically possible. Again, going ahead and building 2 more Hellions there. And with the armory now done, I will be able to transform them into Hellbats as needed. And I do want to, as quickly as possible, get the upgrade as well. Going ahead and training a marine, saving up the money, dropping, checking my mule count. Just kind of general maintenance. Again, this is a bit not too much of an intense part. It's really that early point in the game where you really want to make sure all your buildings are produced correctly. Now, one thing I will say, if I was going to go back and do this again, I would go ahead and build another reactor on my barracks just to speed up the rate at which the second factory would get its reactor. Something to think about, but although not necessarily required. As you can see, I'm just kind of moving around, chill. This is, you know, still kind of figuring out this build. This build don't have it perfectly timed out yet. Still got to work on that. Command center just finished, so of course we're going to go ahead and lift that off and land it. And, go ahead and lower the splitty boat and move my army out, just for defensive purposes, of course. Again, we're going to go ahead and build that reactor directly onto the factory. Then we want to start making our cyclones, because cyclones again going to be very useful when we go pretty much when we go after the Protoss, because Protoss are not biological units. The Hellbats are more or less to kill off those early zealots to make sure that our cyclones can more target the stalkers. That's generally how I like to go about things. Again, getting the +1 attack upgrade for the armory, going ahead and building cyclones, building Hellbats. Kind of getting a good mixture of things as I go about, and of course we want to make sure that eventually I'm pretty sure
add-on is done. Doesn't that look fancy?
I'll transfer some of the SCVs over, or just start building some.
Systems go.
In a second here.
Ready for action.
Again, just building up forces right now. We're about at the 5-minute mark, so that's pretty good, right? If you go to the units counting tab, I do have 4 Hellbats and 3 Cyclones, 2 Marines. Pretty darn sizable force for 5 minutes, in which I'm just now. I'll admit the expansion's a little late. A little bit late of an expansion, not the end of the world. Going back over to the production tab, we do see that again I'm making more supply bows. Again, just producing as many units as physically possible. Keeping that money low. Low money is the key here. And you'll notice I've built up a lot of supply ahead of myself, so that way when we go to move the army out, we can keep building units without being supply blocked. Particularly now, keep in mind, the excessive building of my supply depots has in fact hampered my ability to produce the maximum amount of unit potential I can do. So just keep that in mind. You're doing that, of course. Nothing wrong with queuing up extra Marine, because Marines are fairly cheap.
You just upgraded your units.
It's good to have that.
Maybe keep doing that.
It's good to have that anti-air when possible. And let's see here. So yes, we're getting the armor upgrade. So as soon as the armor upgrade is finished, that's about when we like to move out, I'd say. Or at least when the armor upgrade is close to being done for my units. Just so that way there's a bit more defense. Again, we don't have an engineering base. The Marines are just regular old Marines. No upgrades for Marines. There's a mech play. You'll notice we're not using tanks either, just because tanks are really expensive, and I really want to make sure all my gas can in fact be committed to the production of Cyclones. Again, going ahead and building an engineering bay now, because I figure, well,
that command center upgrade you
I
ordered.
may as well go ahead and get a +1 attack to my Marines since I'm taking so long to do that. Although the primary focus will always be mech. Mech should always be built definitely before any amount of Marine play should be thought about for this particular build order that I'm doing. As you can see, we're dropping down the mules, getting that nice economy built up, and we're getting ready about to move out here in just a second. Again, I wanted to wait around for the armor upgrade to finish for my guys, just to make sure I was going to be able to be as efficient as possible with my ability to kill off my opponent. Of course, here building 2 additional gas here, making supply depots. At this point, I'm kind of prepping. Just kind of sort of preparing for when I do move out and my money ultimately will get high, because I know myself. I know I'm going to let my money get high, so I want to make sure I have those supply depots built just to avoid getting supply blocked, and queuing up those additional supply depots to get ready to actually make the push.
Optics online.
As you can see, I have quite a sizable force here. If we go to unit counting station, I have 11 Cyclones, 12 Hellbats, and 6 Marines. So pretty darn good force in my opinion, if I do say so myself. Again, remember that they do have those upgrades. The +1 armor upgrade has just finished, and now with that armor upgrade being done, and of course more Cyclones coming out, I'll be able to go ahead and get to work. So start opening fire on those rocks. We've got to tear them down. Again, making Cyclones, continuous production of units. That should never stop. I do go ahead and queue up a whole bunch of SCVs, again, so I don't have to worry too much about my economy while I'm away. Again, I'm just double checking, queuing up some units. I make Hellions instead of Hellbats, partly so that way they can move across the map faster. And then I'm going to start pushing across the map. Of course, this map is a little bit easier to get through once you destroy those rocks, so that's something really good to think about. And now I'm going to move in. I do see that his army's there, but he hasn't spotted me yet, so I go ahead and hide a bit. You know, get all my guys
you mined
in
all those
position.
minerals already.
And
Look
then
at
I
you.
go ahead and attack. Now he does notice me, so that means I will be a little hard pressed. But fortunately, due to myself having a really good position with concave, I'm able to appropriately kill off a lot of his units. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't aware that there was a Dark Templar that's currently attacking right now. You can probably hear from Dark Templar taking its single slashes. But again, as you can see, Cyclone's very good against Protoss units. Especially Protoss units who might not have their armor upgrade. Can really be helpful. And you'll see in just a second, I come over to my command center because I didn't have my command center hotkey at the time, and I scanned. That allowed me to just pick up the Dark Templar, really make quick work of it, and then he does end up leaving the game here. And of course, that'll be the end of the replay. So I want to point out that was a very clean build. I did the build in a very clean way. And now we're actually going to go ahead and we're going to switch over. We're going to reset the replay, and we're going to go ahead and just jump to the beginning, and we are going to look at it from his perspective. Yay! Hi. Okay, we're again going to be viewing his position, viewing his camera alone. Let's take a look at how he's playing and view that. So he's going to be the red Protoss, and in this example, I will of course be the blue Terran because I was actually playing as the color blue in this game instead of white. Because only I can see myself as a white Terran. All right. So again, let's take a look at his build order. He gets a pylon right away. Boom. Is he making probes? No. Not sure why he's not making probes. Probably because he was saving up for a gateway, which I suppose is appropriately timed, but I'd argue you can squeeze a probe in pretty much as soon as you want to. You know, so maybe he would have lost a single probe. But other than that, he does have 14 out of 16 workers, so do a good warping in those last two probes, but I think he'll need a little more in order to saturate that gas all the way. So that's another thing to think about, especially when you're playing Protoss. Protoss very dependent on their gas units, specifically the Stalker, because it's the most versatile unit, as well as it's the unit that will be able to defend you against air attack, because you can't rely on photon cannons to save you. Now we do see that the Protoss player is ability to forge right now. Again, if you want to think about it, if you want to look up in the production tab, feel free to look, of course, observe what I'm doing at the same time, simultaneously, so that way you guys can see about where I'm at in my build compared to him. So you'll see his gateway finishes about the same time as my barracks will be finishing. And he'll go ahead and start building the Cybernetics core, getting the ability to get Stalkers really early is going to be a critical part of the Protoss play, as I will continuously say. Now you'll notice that the Forge is not actually researching anything. The Forge currently will not do anything right now. It more or less facilitates the production of the +1 armor and +1 attack upgrades that the Protoss ever so utilizes to make sure they're efficient. Now you notice he's sticking to one gas. He's not necessarily right now. He's queuing up his rally point. He's moving his probe over to take an expansion. So Protoss getting that early expand going on, which is something quite nice for Protoss. Protoss will often actually get an early expansion. However, this does hinder their Zealot count, which is Zealot count. Just for reference, you guys, if you're a Protoss and you're going against Zerg, you want to have a high Zealot count, so that way you can just make sure you're preventing possible 6 pools, 8 pools, or 9 pools, because that can become very difficult to deal with as Protoss if you do not have the proper Zealot count. I would recommend about 5 to 6 Zealots would be appropriate for stopping something like that. When fighting Terran, you can be a little slower with your unit production, just because Terran takes a bit slower to build up their units. So as you can see, he's getting on his second gateway. I would have very much not be surprised to see a third gateway come up. And as you can see, just moving his guy back and forth, probably waiting for, gonna go ahead and be getting the Twilight Council. That'll allow him to get the Blink upgrade for his Stalkers, as well as the Zealot legs. That'll make his much faster. Very good. Also, again, moving another pylon, keeping himself from, he's actually currently supply blocked. His Zealot that was warping in is not doing so. That's why, I'll admit I was a little surprised when I saw him getting the warp gate research while still being supply blocked, but again, of course, that's not going to be a problem anymore. So again, sorry, accidentally, I'm not following his camera. Didn't mean to do that. I thought his own camera was just staying there. Queuing up probes, this is going to cost him a lot of money. Of course, these probes will get made. It just does slow down the production of other things. You'll notice that one gateway is producing 2 Zealots, whereas another gateway is producing 1 Zealot. Now he split them up to appropriately get out the Zealots as fast as possible. Zealots being extremely important. Again, getting Zealot legs first, which is the correct way to do it, because he does not currently have any Stalker production. when he eventually does have the minerals and gas to functionally support Stalkers, I would expect him to be getting the Blink upgrade as well. Now you'll notice again there is good constant probe production, but you'll also notice that there is one too many probes in the gas, so going to go ahead and be transferring over to that expansion. Again, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is the good Zealot count you want, about 5 to 6 Zealots. Which is all you really need to defend early game, especially against Terran. Terran's not going to do anything crazy. Of course, that's assuming you are going against a techie Terran, and Terran is not being aggressive. Whereas a Terran who's being aggressive will actually go ahead and... there are attacks that could hit about at 5 minutes, and I will say this particular amount of Zealots should be alright, especially against mech play, where they aren't using the close combat mechs like Hellbats. Say you had a tank and a Thor gameplay, for example, then I'd say the Zealots would actually be fairly darn good against those mech units. But however, of course, my build not doing so. Going ahead and laying down 2 robotics facilities, which leads me to believe that that's going to be some heavy Immortal play. Mortals being very good, especially when going against a mech Terran, because a Bio Terran will often actually be able to get out a pretty substantial force by this time right now. Of course, you can see he's pushing out, making sure that I haven't, sent out any crazy amount of units. Again, producing that that 3rd gateway there, just to make sure that he does have a good, I guess, gateway. Yeah, they're just called gateway units. The gateway units out, getting the 4th gate, so it can be called a 4th gate. Interesting, he's actually going for a 5th gate. It's a little bit excessive, mainly because even with 2 bases, I'm not sure he can actually fully support this kind of an army. That's why in my build, for example, I don't build a lot of production structures, because I want to be able to constantly produce units, which I think is far more important personally. And now we see the Dark Shrine getting produced, which will be very useful as he's getting some good hits off. A lot of times Terrans who are doing mech will not always have a Raven on them, and will be trying to use their mules coming out of their orbital commands instead of saving up scans for an attack. I will say that as a Terran player, it is important to save at least 1 scan when you're fighting Protoss, just to make sure you can counter DTs when possible. I notice again, warping in some Stalkers right now, continuing to get pylons in order to avoid being supply blocked. That was very close. Accidentally misses the production of the assimilator there, not the end of the world. And he does, in fact, now finally get out his Observer. The Observer should be sent out directly towards my base in order to see what kind of units I have. Because otherwise, he has no way of knowing what kind of units I have, which is not necessarily something that we're looking forward to. As you can see, now he's ordering his Observer to fly across the map. Very, very good. That's what I like to see, because any Protoss who isn't using their Observer to go check out the enemy base is, 1, wasting the money on Observer, 2, not playing Protoss correctly, because if the Protoss should always have a view of their opponent's base unless it's another Protoss, then Observer sees Observer, and whoever's base the 2 Observers are at will murder each other. Anyway, we'll notice that the Protoss player's money is getting quite high. I'd say probably this would be a good time for an expansion. Probably should be doing Warp Gate for all of his gateways to be able to warp in a lot of units. Perhaps maybe getting some more expensive units here. I mean, he does have a good mix, I'll say. He has a very good mix of the Zealot, Stalker, Immortal, although one might argue that perhaps maybe because the money's getting so high, that there should be a little bit more allocation of stuff. Now he can see my whole army. I haven't hidden anything particular, so he seems to have a lot of stuff. So he should be going ahead and getting more Immortals. Said he gets 2 more.
Upgrade complete.
It was a misclick. Yep. Okay, getting 2 more Immortals. Excellent. And again, I would say getting Stalkers would probably be more ideal. Well, actually, no. Well, okay, so he sees Hellbats. I guess for these purposes, he should be getting Stalkers, and then anything he can't. And if he runs out of gas, then he should be making the Zealots. But he said he's going to be opting for just Zealots, which is fine. It's completely acceptable. Might be wanting to think about chrono boosting out these Immortals, just because Immortals are going to be critical since I'm doing mech play. Although, of course, that doesn't necessarily... Cyclones will be doing, like, the anti-armor damage, but Hellbats will not. Hellbats actually should not anyway, as far as I am aware, activate the shields of the Immortals. Of course, that could have been changed. There's been a new patch recently, so I'm not as familiar with Protoss mechanics in how they recognize damage. So that's something I will admit to. I'm not quite too sure about that particular part. As you can see, the shield upgrade for the Protoss ground units is now about to finish, and he now is aware of my attack. Now let's see kind of how he handles this battle, because you all saw how I perceive handling the battle. Ordering an attack, not necessarily letting them attack me away, kind of just kiting, but of course he's not kiting far enough because I do have in range. My splash damage from some of his mortals, or getting his, or in fact getting his Dark Templar without even me acknowledging them. He's probably thinking he's doing quite good with his Dark Templar. I mean, he does warp in more Dark Templar. And as you can see, the scan goes off right when the Dark Templar get made, so that's not going to help him out. And he does leave the game at that point. So, other than having an increasingly high amount of money, I'd say this Protoss player actually did a pretty good job of making sure he's expanding, making sure he's doing everything he needs to be done. I will say he should have had his observer pinned onto one of my units, just so that way he'd be able to see my army moving out so he wouldn't be caught off guard. And again, one of the main reasons why I'll say it again is that having high money is the main problem. That's specifically because if you have high money, it means you're not spending your money, which means he could have had more troops to defend himself, and my push might have not succeeded. So anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching this wonderful StarCraft 2 replay. And as always, I am Elwirfy, and I'll see you guys next time.